This week on NBA G League Takeover, Motor City is riding a hot streak. Plus, Jaylen Sims makes history with the Swarm. And later, Dink Pate joins the show for an exclusive interview. All that and more coming up right now on NBA G League Takeover.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
What's up, everybody? Mike Davis here in the Den at Fox 5 Studios for NBA G League Takeover. I'm joined by my co-host. We got the great Gianna Hearn, G League Insider, with us. G, a lot of great stuff to get into today. Let's kick this off, though, with Jaylen Sims. Big ups to this guy. He's now the new all-time leading scorer for the Greensboro Swarm. He 2 points in, set the record. He's now the leader there. He's also the leader for rebounds, G. So he's got 16 franchise points right now, 612 rebounds. 3 years, though, on the team, and he's already the franchise leading scorer. Tell us a little bit about what that means to him, the franchise, and how unique it is to be with a team, 3 years and to already be the franchise leading scorer.
Yeah, I'll start with what you said at the end. To be with a team in the G League 3 years doesn't happen often, actually, because a lot of guys are either getting pulled up or they're deciding to go on different paths or somehow there's trades involved. So for him to stay with an organization for 3 years means that they really value him in many ways, whether it's off court, on court. But I think for him, it's all of that combined because he's not just great off the court. I mean, in his last game, he had 23 points in a win over the Capitanes, but this is a guy who you said for 3 years has been with this organization and he really can get downhill. I mean, check out when he's in transition, check out when he's just coming from the top of the three and going downhill inside. There's some flashy layups that he does there, but he's also shooting pretty well from the perimeter. He's shooting 36% this year. So every year that he's played in these 3 years, he's gotten better. If we look at his stats, he went from averaging 11 points in his first season to 16.6 last season, and then he's almost averaging 19 points per game right now. I think it makes sense why he's their leading scorer, but in the same breath, because guys haven't been with organizations that long, that's why it's hard to get these or a little bit easier to get these all-time records because there's not someone that has longevity. We saw J.D. Davison. He's been with the Maine Celtics for a few seasons, and you see he has almost every record, but also he's just on a tear. So
Right.
I think this goes both ways. There haven't been guys that have been established long for a lot of organizations, but also he's just killing it himself, and each year has gotten better. So congrats to him.
It's crazy stuff. 26 years old, past Kobe Simmons for the record. The other great thing, though, is he's a Charlotte native. It's his hometown team, so he's playing for his hometown organization with the Swarm, and he's able to make history. So congratulations to Jaylen Sims. But let's move on to somebody who's also on a hot streak, and it's not just one guy in particular, but it's the Motor City Cruise, currently on a 6-game win streak. Gianna, the last time they lost, I should say, is February 2nd. They've been on a 6-game win streak. Part of this is because of Denise Jenkins. Some people say Dennis, some people say Denise, but all you can say about this dude is he knows how to score. 23 years old, from Dallas, Texas. This guy scored 41 points the other night, 28 in the first half, a career high for him, but he scored 30 or more in the last 3 of 4 games. I mean, he's a big part of what's going on with this Motor City Cruise team. Tell us a little bit about this young man and what's so special about what he's accomplishing on this recent tear.
He's a two-way player for the Detroit Pistons. And as we know, and you've seen over the season and the seasons before that we worked together, two-way players either get some time in the NBA or they don't. They spend a lot of time in the G League. And that's what we're seeing with Jenkins. He's only had 4 NBA games this season. He's only got average 2 minutes per game. So not a lot of opportunity for him, but he has taken the opportunity in the G League to really do what you need to do, develop. And you mentioned his 41-point game when they got the win against the Herd. He has 7 rebounds, 8 assists, and 8 three-pointers made. The career high also in rebounds and career high in three-pointers made. So we talked about this before, but if you are a two-way player and you're playing in the G League, the expectation is that you dominate because you are on an NBA contract. So I think for Dennis Jenkins, Denise Jenkins, however we're saying it, he is doing what he's supposed to do. So at 6'3", 165, I think he's making good headway as a guard and I'm pretty sure I thought I wrote it down, but in his rookie season. So
Wow. Yeah, 23 years old. I mean, he's doing a lot of great stuff. So we'll see their, Motor City Cruise right now, they're still trying to compete for a spot in the playoffs as well. So that 6-game win streak is going to help them out. Lastly, here in this initial block, G, let's talk about a guy that we're all familiar with from March Madness. We all remember Marquise Noel from K-State, the shortest player in the G League, 5'7" to be exact. So pretty crazy there. He's with Rio Grande Vipers. Over the past 4 games, G, he's been averaging 32.8 points per game, 12 assists per game. He's just going off. The other night against our dude, Yuki, he had 44 points versus the Memphis Hustle, 9 assists and 9 3-pointers made. He's the shortest player in the G League, 5'7". Tell us a little bit about this guy, because we all remember him from K-State. Interestingly enough, he had one D1 offer coming out of high school, so he's really such a success story, and we know what he can do on the big stage. But tell us what he's doing right now with the Vipers.
You mentioned it a little bit. He has faced hardship at every turn in his life. If you look into his story a little bit, you know him from K-State. I know him from Elite Camp. And so when you're invited to G League Elite Camp, you're on that cusp of, you could have made it to the NBA Combine, but you weren't invited. So the next best come to the NBA G League Elite Camp. And there, I interviewed him, got to know his story a little bit more, but he had a hard time straight from birth. Okay. They didn't expect that he might make it through the birth process. And then he had an injury that was an emergency surgery in his senior year of high school. So that all led up. Plus, he was from the Bronx. It's a really tough neighborhood. There's a lot to his story. I can't even explain it in this amount of time. So please go check it out if you can. But he's faced hardship at every turn, and his size, his height was not even the hardest one that he had to face. But he does have a slogan, heart over height, that he used at K-State and tried to lead his team within. It wasn't just for him, but just to overcome what people see on the outside. And I think Marquise Noel has continued to show us this since he's been in the G League. So I just, because knowing his story, am just very ecstatic to see him continuing to prove people wrong, put up points, and not only that, he has a number of NCAA records. So the question is not whether Marquise Noel can play basketball. The question is who's going to give him an opportunity at the next level.
Yeah, when we've seen, Earl Boykins, a guy who was 5'5". We've seen, Muggsy Bogues. So 5'7" is certainly doable at the next level, and I certainly implore everybody to go online. If you want to see some great G League basketball, just watching Marquise Noel and Yuki Kawamura go at it head-to-head, it's a fun matchup to watch, and you can see Marquise drop 44. Guys, coming up after a short break, we're going to be talking to a guy who is electric, both on the court and off the court. We're hearing from the great Dink Pate in an exclusive interview that's coming up next.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
My name is Dink Pate. This is my second year playing professional basketball, and I play for the Mexico City Capitanes. With Ignite, as a 17-year-old, you get more leeway to make a mistake. Here you get treated as a grown man. I was thrown into the fire very early. There is no more Ignite. You can't hold my hand no more. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm thrown into the fire early, and I matured a lot. Over the last 5 to 6 months, I became a man. More of a, not even on a basketball, just a businessman of everything. I became a man, and I'm still learning. Letting people know that Ignite was not a waste of time. They think we was doing a lot of losing, that it was just a joke or it was a game. Like, you got a lot of people from the program, from the G League Ignite, that's producing and doing a lot of things with the game of basketball and doing great things. And they got that Ignite title on their back, and that's what I take. That's my mentality, man. I represent Ignite well, I represent Mexico City well, but when people mention my name, they always start off with the 17-year-old from the G League Ignite, and that's one thing I'm gonna have. With that program being shut down, I'm letting you know I'm almost one of the toughest to come through it. And I don't play no games, and that's how I just live my life. That's my dude, man. He's been helping me a lot and been telling me, right from wrong, and he called me a superstar every day. He let me know that my dream is reachable, and everything that he done been through. Obstacles are gonna happen, and all you gotta do is overcome it and keep that same mentality that you had starting the game of basketball and the passion that I have for this game. You know, just take it with a grain of salt. Without question. Without question. I've been working hard for the past 18 years, and once I was 8 years old, and once I seen that LeBron documentary on how he didn't go to college, and I was like, oh, if he didn't gotta do it, I know I don't gotta do it, and that's just been my dream, and my plan is to be a top 10 pick. My love for the game, my passion, like I tell everybody, I play the game for free. I love the game of basketball. This is what I live for. I don't got nothing else. This is my life. This is what I dream for. Even when the adversity hit, I'd never let that adversity shy away from my goal. Like, this is my dream. I'm ready to be in the NBA. No boys allowed. Like Juan always tell me, no boys allowed. That's the name of the league. I done grew from a boy to a man in such a quick span, and I'm still learning, and I'm ready for everything that I got coming in the future for me.
All right, so great to hear from one of my favorite guys. G, I know he's one of your favorites as well, Dink Pate. I mean, it's crazy to think he's still only 18 years old, you know, and he was with the Ignite last season, now with the Mexico City Capitanes. You know, this was a guy, he's 6'8", 210. If you were, you know, talking with God to try to make a perfect NBA body build, it would kind of be Dink Pate. But a lot of the mocks I'm seeing now, he's less of that, you know, first round lottery draft selection and becoming more of a second round guy. Why do you think that is?
No, I think there's a number of different things that go into that. Now, his numbers offensively haven't been as good as they were earlier in the season, which I think during Winter Showcase, where all the scouts were watching, they really opened their eyes and said, wow, okay, Dink is climbing up. And I think he hasn't followed that performance up with another performance like that. He did have one when he went to his hometown and played in Texas on the road, but we're waiting for that Dink Pate energetic guy to come back. And so I think once he does that, he still has time left in this season. I mean, this conversation, it's not like mock drafts always work out. And even if they do, if he gets drafted in the second round, I mean, he's still drafted. And I think he then can prove himself. But he has, I think, a harder path than many people. I mean, starting out with Ignite and then Ignite changing, and now he's with Mexico City. He is not on a collegiate roster where he would obviously be one of the best guys, so getting all the playing time. Now you're Mexico City, where more than half of the roster has NBA experience or has won a championship in the NBA. So you're fighting for playing time at the same time, where you wouldn't have that if you were in college. So, you know, a unique situation and challenges for Dink Pate, but he has risen to every occasion. I think he still will as he's finding his footing. And I will add this, when he is not offensively producing, he is on every other stat. If you look at rebounds, sometimes he's the leading rebounder for Mexico City. So, you know, scouts may just not know what to look for in Dink Pate. I watch him a lot, so I have no doubt that he can do it. But the other thing about him is his confidence level is off the charts. You couldn't tell in that interview.
Certainly, and even I interviewed him last year. I mean, just he's so mature beyond his years. I'm a huge fan of his, and I think he has a bright future. So we're wishing all the best to Dink Pate and the Mexico City Capitanes. Guys, coming up after a short break, Gianna's wearing the shirt right now. We're talking USA FIBA AmeriCup action, a lot of great stuff. G has some great personal ties as well, so we're going to be learning a little bit more about all the good stuff going on with USA basketball after a short break.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
Welcome back to NBA G League Takeover. Mike Davis, Gianna Hearn. So Gianna, you're sporting the USA basketball gear, which is apropos because right now we're going to be talking about what's going on with FIBA AmeriCup action. So USA Basketball punched their ticket into the 2025 AmeriCup action this August in Nicaragua with a win this past Thursday over Puerto Rico. But on Sunday night, they also beat the Bahamas 105-83. And there's a lot of G Leaguers that are a part of this team because, you know, obviously we all know, we remember Paris, right? You know, even on Netflix right now, there's a new documentary about getting the gold in Paris. So when guys like Steph can't be playing, there's a lot of G League guys that are on this team. And just to name a few, I mean, in the win on Sunday night, G Leaguers helping the cause. We had Javonte Smart drop 16 points. Nasir Little dropped 16 points. A lot of great guys in good action, even two former Ignite guys in Norris Cole and John Jenkins. So, G, first of all, for our audience, perhaps you can maybe just break down the nuance of this, because it is interesting to see how so much of the USA's success in FIBA play and, Olympic play is actually ignited by G Leaguers. So give us a little bit of the background on that.
Yeah, there are several windows to put America on world stages, whether it's the World Cup, AmeriCup, or the Olympics. And to get to those, you have to qualify. So there are these qualifying windows, and those windows typically are happening during the NBA season. So that makes it pretty difficult for the best of American players to play in these games. So oftentimes, most times in these windows, G League players will fill in throughout these entire windows and qualify America for these big stage events. And then, the big dogs come in and play. But not always. Like AmeriCup will typically be made of G League players when they win and they advance. So right now they're going to be playing in August 2025. So we'll see who will be in the AmeriCup team. But it's very interesting because these games, a lot of times we talk about the conversation, have other countries caught up to America when it comes to basketball. And you saw Puerto Rico, which we beat to clinch to get into the AmeriCup this August. We only beat by 1 point.
Right.
That's a very close game.
Right.
Now, when we play the Bahamas, obviously a much bigger win, but the world has caught up. And so international basketball is very exciting. And it's exciting for our guys in the G League that get to go play against them, because they get to sometimes have a little bit more physical game. They talk about the G League being one of the fastest leagues. Well, they talk about international game. The rules are different. You have to do a quick switch up because it's also during the G League season. So they're leaving their teams. And say your team is in a win streak. Now your team on the G League has to deal with the roster changes while you go play for America. But oftentimes these guys do it because they believe that it is a great opportunity to represent their country. So I rambled a lot there, but it's really exciting to watch these. If you guys have never watched, they're very, very fun. There's one actually I'll tell you about in a minute when we get to that story.
Well, there's so much excitement surrounding, obviously, playing for one's nation. We saw a lot of this with even the Four Nations face-off and how it reinvigorated a lot of excitement around hockey here in the U.S. with Canada versus the USA. But even from a personal note, Gianna, and I selfishly myself, as a Northwestern guy, want to talk about our next dude, Reggie Hearn, who you know very well, who actually tell us the story of this, because you tell us to my producer James and I a lot, but he's on a list as a guy playing for USA Basketball, and he's in the same sentence as LeBron James and other types of people. I think you even say Shaquille O'Neal or something. So tell us a little bit about Reggie Hearn and how his impact is shown and in AmeriCup and USA Basketball, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, well, Reggie Hearn does happen to be my husband, but also one of the best G League players, I will have to say, not just because he's my husband, but because that's what the records show. He's number 2 in three-point shooting all the time for the G League. The list could go on. But he's one of those guys that really started out with the G League players representing America. And so in 2017, he won a gold medal in the FIBA AmeriCup that we're talking about, that the guys are going to go play this summer. And then in 2018, he was USA Men's Basketball Athlete of the Year, which that list has Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and it continues to go on.
Oh my God.
But because of how much he helped America qualify, he played 5 qualifying windows, averaging like 12 points, 64% from three-point range. They allowed him to come to the Olympic mini camp training in Las Vegas. So he trained with all of them. So bringing him up is only to say that these G League guys that get these opportunities, they're often rewarded with experiences from the big team as well. Now, they may not play in the Olympics, but Team USA knows that G League players are the ones that are doing the heavy lifting and the work to get them, because they could never play in the World Cup if they didn't have these qualifying windows. They would have to say, you know what, Steph, you need to come play. You got to leave your season and come qualify. Right. So I just think it's just a testament to these G League guys. Some of them have put in even more windows than my husband. David Stockton's put in several. I know that I think Javonte Smart has played now in all 5 for this window. So it's kudos to them. It does take a lot of energy and mind shifting. So exciting stuff. But We do have a glass trophy at home for Male Athlete of the Year for Team USA.
USA Athlete Basketball Player of the Year and Gianna Hearn's husband. Two great things to have on in your accolades and your milestones. Yes.
I just want to add, if you guys have never watched, look up Reggie Hearn getting the game winner in the World Cup qualifying. It's pretty interesting. Scott Van Pelt says no arc, but he did make Sports Center top 10.
Hey, there you go. We love Scott Van Pelt. All right, guys. Listen, coming up after a short break, we're going to be hearing who Gianna Hearn's G of the week is. So make sure you stick around. A lot of excitement there. Very interesting story coming up after the break.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
Well, it's about that time. It's time for G of the Week. Gianna Hearn, who gets the honors this time?
It's Naquan Tomlin. I mean, this dude didn't even play high school basketball, and then he just had his NBA debut. I mean, you don't hear stories like that often enough. For the Cavs, he is on a 10-day, so he had his debut. Congrats to him.
Yeah, it's beautiful stuff. 6'10" forward. He's been really playing great in the G, averaging over 20 points a game, 8 rebounds, shooting 55% from the floor. So a very cool thing. Just a little wrinkle to his debut, which is special. He scored 3 points in the final minutes of the game against the Brooklyn Nets. He's a Harlem native, but he went to Urban Assembly in New York City, did not play high school basketball, and made the NBA. So, there's still hope for guys like me out there. So thank you, Naquan Tomlin, for that. G, great seeing you. Go USA. We're excited for all that AmeriCup action, and it was great to get a little history lesson on Reggie Hearn as well. For everybody at home, I'm Mike Davis. We'll see you next time here at the Den at Fox 5 Studios for NBA G League Takeover. Have a great week.